Hello and welcome to another episode of the Women's Basketball Talk Show. I'm Brandon Bias, joined as always by Coach Smalley. Coach Smalley, welcome.
Good morning, Coach. Great to be back here talking to our fans about our past experiences.
Yeah, and sorry if we're dragging a little bit here. Last week was a 2-1 week. You know, we don't like to participate in the cheering of festivities if we don't win them all, but we got to pick up and move on. So we went 2-1. We had a really good weekend at the Bevo, winning both games, beating quality teams in Bryan and Cumberland University. Bryan, at the time, a top 25 team. Can you kind of talk about the Bevo with the two games against Bryan and Cumberland and, having an MVP and two all-Bevo team members?
Basically, with the Bevo, the 40th annual Bevo is a great weekend. We had great basketball. Both our women and men's programs were victorious. We had the Hall of Fame committee banquet induction. We had 3 women's basketball players go in and Coach Thomas. I think it was one of the better Bevo weekends that we've had in many, many years, and this would have been my 31st one that I've been involved with. Good basketball, as Coach alluded to. We beat Bryan College out of Tennessee, who was ranked 14th at the time, and did a pretty nice job against Bryan. We had some activities going on. We did a great job at the free throw line, 24-32 for around 75%, and that's huge for us. That's game saving changes when you can get to the free throw line 24 plus times and then hit 75 to 80%. We had some players. Darnell had 22. Asia Williams 6, Ella Skeens 23, Aaliyah Kreitz 10, Harley Antritt 1, Marley Grinstead 7, Natalie Kaladiev 2, Reagan Willingham 6, Lavender Ward 9, and Lexi Woods 10. And it was just a good balanced scoring, and we did a great job of playing well together. And that was a fun game against a ranked team.
Yeah, and the time, win 4-0. Go into Saturday's game against a team who we thought when we watched Friday could be as good, if not better, than Bryan, and gave us different type of obstacle with their size and no turnaround time. We had maybe 16 hours to prepare for it, so it wasn't a very long time. We didn't know how the team would respond. We got the win. Can you kind of talk about the Cumberland game?
Our River State's conference friend Midway kind of did us a favor. They took Cumberland to 3 overtimes, so I think that may have had just a slight physiological effect on them during our game. But I agree with you. I thought Cumberland was probably a better team than Bryan. I thought they were deeper, more physical, and had better post players. I thought Cumberland's guard play was pretty good. But we just kind of did some really nice things against Cumberland. End up winning 85-74. We had Ella Skeens with 21, Darnell with 17, Asia with 6, Leah Kreitz 10, Harley Antritt with 2, and then we had our coming off our bench, Lexi Woods with 14, and we just had again good parity, and I thought we got it up and down the floor pretty well. I thought we withstood some issues. We just didn't shoot the 3 well and hadn't shot the 3 as well as we would like to in most of our games. But I thought we played well against 2 quality teams and got 2 W's at the Bevo, and that to me that was it ignited us. I felt, or it did me anyway, going into it. I think at that point we were 5-0.
Yeah. So after the Bevo's finished with, Ella Skeens is named the MVP of the Bevo, and then we had Kaylee Darnell and Aaliyah Kreitz on the All-Bevo Classic team. So congratulations to those players. So here we are, 5-0. We got a new ranking, was voted on Sunday. It wouldn't come out until yesterday, or today actually, earlier today. So last night we make the trip up to Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon, very solid team. They were receiving votes. They're not receiving votes in this one. I have a feeling they'll receive votes in the next one. But we go up there, play a very talented, maybe a short-handed team Can you kind of talk a little bit about the Mount Vernon game?
Well, you alluded to the rankings, and all of the work leading up to the rankings that came out today happened before we went to Mount Vernon. So, and we'll talk a little more about that. But we started out preseason ranked at number 20, and that's basically due to our production last season, 32-3, and won our conference and won our first round national tournament. So that was the 20. Ranked 20 came from that scenario last year, but our 5-0 at that particular point solidified where we were, and we beat some quality teams during this 5-0 run. So we go from 20 to 16 in this first poll that came out, which was this morning. Of course, last night we went up to Mount Vernon, and it was kind of like the perfect storm in a lot of different ways up at Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon's a good basketball team, and it's a great venue, and for some reason we don't play well. We've had some pretty good teams go up there and just barely get by. We've had some good teams go up there like last night and come away with a loss, but things that just didn't go well. We weren't clicking on all cylinders, and we had some dry spells. We didn't shoot the ball as well as we normally do. And it's really nobody to blame. It wasn't officiating. It's just the fact, I think Mount Vernon, they were a little more hungrier than we were. They did some things statistically, skill-wise, that they hadn't shown much in their previous games up to this point. They just shot lights out. They hit the three. They were shorthanded. They only played 7 players. I thought we were on the verge of just kind of wearing them down. I thought we did some really nice things in our trapping schematics in the full court. Got it up and down the floor, but we just couldn't buy buckets. We were just not shooting the ball very well. We end up had more steals than they did. We had more rebounds than they did. We had fewer turnovers than they did. And we shot at 85% at the free throw line, Coach, but we only got there 13 times. So you look at those positive statistical frames that we actually did better than Mount Vernon, you'd think, well, we must have won. But bottom line is they put the ball in the hole more than we did, and we had shots down the stretch. But give our players credit, with the adversity of not playing well. I thought it was not a hostile crowd because most of the crowd was our crowd, and I thought we had a good fan base there. Officiating wasn't that bad, just one of those situations where you got to come ready to play, and you got to respect the opponent. And I think maybe the fact that they were on low numbers, they only had 10 dressed, they only played 7. Maybe we just got a little too comfortable.
Yeah, well, you only need to play 5, so they had plenty of players, and we did too. And sometimes you just come up a little short, and that's what we did. But you know what? I would not want to be our next opponent, and that's what we're going to get into. We're going to go to Ohio Christian on Saturday off of a loss. And, Ohio Christian, this may be a fake fact, but it's pretty close. 5 or 6 of our last 5 or 6 games, we've been down at halftime, but we've won all those games.
Correct. So
the goal for this one is not to be down at halftime and still win. We don't want to reverse the roles. So can you kind of give a little preview on going to Ohio Christian and what you expect from our team coming from the loss? What adjustments do you think will be made before Saturday?
Well, our game up at Ohio Christian on Saturday will be our first River States Conference game, and we're getting ready to start. We have seasons within the season, and this is starting our conference season Saturday, and we're playing for the marbles there. We've got to win the conference. You got to win conference games. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win, and you got to do extremely well at home. Ohio Christian, they're struggling a little bit, but again, that's that mindset we got to be careful about. They're 1-5 in this early season, but as you just mentioned, think about that statistic. The last 5 times we played at Ohio Christian, we have been behind at halftime. And that has created some paint blistering on some of the locker rooms during those halftime speeches. And then our players always respond and come back out, and we always, end up finishing the game up there with a W. They have some players. They have a couple player, number 3, Rachel Bolyard, who is kind of a bulldog at the guard spot, has very skill-oriented, handles the ball well, can get it to the glass, can shoot the 3. She can try to play and mess with your mind a little bit. She's one of those going to get up in your face type of players. I have Haley Cox, number 3, who shoots the 3-point shot really well. And they're hungry. They're 1-5, and this is their first conference game, and it's at home. So I'm sure they're going to look to give us everything we can handle.
Yeah, definitely. So if you could pick out 1 or 2 things that you would like to see improvement or something for us to do better than what we have been from last night's game going into Saturday, what is going to be your selling points to the team?
Well, number 1 is focus and attention to detail. I think internally for individual players. I think sometimes we just kind of get in a pattern, and the pattern that we had been in had been a great pattern, 5-0, and went into a tough Mount Vernon, and I think maybe we just thought, well, this is going to happen, and they kind of sucker punched us. And Ohio Christian can do the same thing. If we go in without focus on detail, and it doesn't just start just as the official tips up the ball. It starts today. Today is going to be a preparation day. We're going to be in the film room looking at scouting report, and then tomorrow we'll get on the floor, Friday on the floor, and then Saturday we'll travel. So to me, pay attention to detail and be focused, and then you need to come out with a little bit of energy, enthusiasm, and I want to kick somebody's butt is the mentality I would want to have as a player. Especially if I didn't do certain things well, like I'm capable of in the previous game. When you lose, that just puts a bad taste in your mouth. The only way to get that out is to prepare up into the next time you get an opportunity to win, and that it's kind of like mouthwash. It takes that bad taste out of your mouth.
Well, the other thing is it's hard in the middle of a game to flip the switch. It's hard if you don't bring it from the get-go. It's hard to flip that switch in the middle.
True.
Talking with one of my friends last night, that's what my takeaway from him was. Can't really fault him. It's hard to, if you don't bring it from the get-go, it's hard to take 2 quarters and then just flip it. So you got to bring it.
I agree, and the true test is there's no fault to be put out. There's no blame. It's just fact. That's the way it happened. That's just life. That's just basketball. But the true test is how do we address it? How do we handle it? And how do we come back? The true test will be at tip-off at 1 o'clock at Ohio Christian, and then everything leading up to that point will determine that situation. And then, so I'm excited. Our kids are resilient. They're tough kids. They're going to come back, and they're going to be focused, and we'll be all right.
So Saturday, we play Ohio Christian. We get done. We come back to campus. They have about an hour to get stuff together. Then we're going to make the long journey down to Orlando, Florida for a game. And I'm sure there'll be more distractions whenever we do that. Can you kind of talk about going to Florida and playing Weber and what you expect and hope during this trip?
Well, again, like old Willie Nelson said, we're going to be on the road, baby, and we're going to be on a road that, you better bring you 3 pillows, one to put underneath your buttocks, and one to put behind your head, and then one to put, for me, on the legs so I can put my legs up over the top there and get comfortable. But we're excited about the fact we get to go to Orlando and play Weber International, which we thought going into it was going to be a great team for us to beat and play. And that right now, they're struggling a little bit, but technically so are we.
Yeah.
But we get to do some fun things down there as well. We're going to take the players. We're going to go to one of the parks, and I'm not sure exactly which one, and we're not going to spend all day at a park, but we're going to get to go and explore a little bit of Disney World, one of the parks down there, and we're going to play Weber, and we're going to get back on that bus and on the road again and come home, and then let them go home for Thanksgiving, and then I think Point Park is after that.
Back into the conference.
Back into the conference. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great trip.
Okay. Well, appreciate your time. We're going to bring up 2 players. We're going to talk to them a little bit about basketball season so far, and then we'll wrap everything up. Appreciate your time.
Good deal. Thanks, Coach.
Hello and welcome back. I am joined by senior guard Reagan Willingham and sophomore forward Harley Antred. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. They may seem a little tired, traveled last night, got back in probably about 12:30, and I'm sure they were up for their classes, or at least they were supposed to be. So, Reagan, we're 6 games into the season. We're 5-1. Pretty stellar to be 5-1. Can you kind of talk about the growth of the team compared from going 32-3 last year to having a couple graduates, having new pieces come in and out, and being 5-1?
Yeah, obviously it sucks to lose those seniors, but I think, I hate to say it, sorry Avery and China, I think we're a lot better than last year. We just play great team basketball, so I think that really helps us out a lot. We all get along well, so.
Yeah. Harley?
I thought we did lose two really, really good players, but I think we've had people who have stepped up to take their roles, and they've been doing pretty good at it. So.
Yeah. So definitely. So with losing China and Avery, obviously, and learning how to play without them, people's had to accept different roles within the teams. Some of your roles. I mean, you're asked to do a couple different things. Reagan, usually you're a top guard, go in, you know what your duty is. Right. Harley, you went from being the lightning in a bottle that comes off the bench to starting as a sophomore and kind of being the person that we say, hey, go get all those rebounds like Coach Markham did when she played. So can you kind of talk about how you own your own role that the team is currently asking for you? We'll start with Reagan.
Okay. So obviously I'm that three-point shooter. I mean, I just got to come in every day, get extra shots up, and I just got to make the three for the team.
Yep. And Harley?
Like you said, rebounding. It's what you guys really put me in to do, and it's what I should be doing. So I just have to remember in the game to go find somebody to put my butt on and push them out of the paint so I can get the rebound rather than the other team.
It's a proud moment for a coach whenever they have to answer a question with something that you tell them 3,000 times a day. So it has to be staying in there somewhere when they referred in one of their answers. And I'll tell you, everybody can find a place on their roster for Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman's going to get some rebounds. Now, you don't have to act like him off the court, but on the court, if you get those rebounds, there'll always be a spot for you. Can you kind of talk about something that you're looking forward to with this season, Reagan?
Just continuing to get more wins. I think this team can do more than we did last year, so just keep on pushing along and winning games.
Yep. Harley?
Yeah, about the same. Just keep doing what we're doing and keep getting better every day.
Yeah. So, and then can you kind of talk about, you all are players from that 32-3 team. Can you kind of talk about some of the new players? How well have they mixed into the team, and just a different style of play that they bring. We got Lavender at a point guard spot. We have Natalie at a forward spot. You have Grace at a guard spot. You got Marley coming in as a freshman who can play the guard and forward. Can you just talk about what the new players kind of bring into the fold?
I think the new players honestly challenge everyone that was here last year. I think they push us more. Like Lavender Ward, I think she pushes Asia at the point guard position every day. So I think that's good for Asia, and she's only a sophomore, so that's really good. I don't know, I just think all those new players came in and they didn't really act like new players. So I think that's good for us.
Yeah, and Harley, from your standpoint, how has being moved into the starting spot whenever you were kind of the person that got tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, go in and give us 4 minutes. Now you're the person that we're saying, hey, we need you to play this first 5 or 6 minutes and then we'll get you a sub. How have you been able to handle the role from last year to this year?
I think it's almost kind of the same because like last year, you tapped on my shoulder to go in to do something specifically or just to give someone a break, and I still had that responsibility to go in and take over one of our better players, our starters. I had the responsibility to go in and take over their role, but now I have that role. It's mine totally, and I just have to fill it all the time, so I don't have to have someone else come fill it for me. But it's about the same pressure, same responsibility.
Yeah, definitely. So, and with that, as we start a journey, I posted on my Facebook. Starting yesterday, we played 9 of our next 10 are on the road, and then 13 of our next 16 games are on the road. So we're playing a lot on the road. But with the territory comes what happened. I mean, we're going to take a couple L's possibly. We don't want to. We're going to prepare not to. But can you just talk about how mentally tough that's going to make us with playing so many road games?
I mean, it's obviously tough not playing in your gym, but we just got to keep working every day. I mean, there's nothing really you can do to to prepare to play in someone else's gym, but you just got to play your game.
Yeah, and Harley, what's the goal for the team this year? We're only 6 games in. We played 28. We hopefully play 3 conference games in the tournament. What's the goal?
To do better than last year. You know, win those games, win the conference again, and get further in the national tournament.
Yeah, this group has a special chance to do great things. Reagan, if we were to go and win a conference championship, who should be a part of 3 conference championship teams, 3 or 4 national tournaments. If we could get back there again this year, Harley, that's all she would have known is, well, I thought that we go to the national tournament every year. So, you know, the foundation that these ladies are laying is paying dividends for the future with all the recruits that we keep getting. So, besides a conference championship, you know, we got a trip coming up to Orlando this weekend, and then we got Puerto Rico next month. Can you kind of just talk about something that you're looking forward to with your teammates?
Just making those memories in those places. I think it's kind of cool that we're going to Puerto Rico. In my 4 years here, I've never been further than maybe Tennessee. So I'm excited to make those memories with my teammates.
Harley?
Yeah, about the same. Just to, you know, you guys call us sisters, just to really bond some more and have more chemistry with each other rather than just on the court. But it'll help on the court chemistry, spending more quality, fun time together.
Yeah. If the coaches don't ruin it and try to make it about basketball, right?
Right.
You know, and let's wrap up with last night. We talk about memories and spending time with each other and just what families do. You know, after Mount Vernon, we're all kind of down, you know, I mean, as you should be after a loss, but we get to go out and eat together and, you know, get to stop by Harley's dad's place. Can you kind of talk a little bit about where we had dinner last night, Harley?
Yeah, my dad owns a restaurant back home in Newark, Ohio. It's called Don and Sue's Pizza if anybody wants to try it. It probably would have been a little bit more enjoyable to be there and like really spend time together if we had won. You know, and we did get to eat good after a loss, so that was good.
Reagan, can you kind of just talk about it, some of the cool features?
Yeah, Harley's dad, Steve, he has a great place there. He has a lot of antiques in there, so Coach Molly really thought that was cool, so maybe that got his mind off the loss.
Yeah, it did, I think.
And that was a good point. I mean, you share fellowship with your teammates, and you go there, and we'd like to thank definitely for the experience of feeding us there. It was great food. It was a great eye candy. If you have a chance to stop by there, if you're in the area, I recommend it. Anytime I'm recruiting now, I'm definitely going to be stopping by that. I had about 5 different types of pizzas last night, so I felt
pretty good.
like it was a good place to go. So we got 2 more games before our next coaches show. We're going to be playing Ohio Christian this Saturday at Ohio Christian at 1 o'clock. So all of our fans from the Central Ohio and up area, this is a very close game to come to in Circleville. Then on Tuesday, we're going to be playing down in Weber, which is south of Orlando. And then we're going to be back for a few days off before we return. Then we'll make a trip up to Pittsburgh to play Point Park. So hopefully when we get back, we'll have all victories and we'll all be pep in our step when we're back on this show. So until the next episode, we will see you later.